welcome to the Dog Training Audio Experience Podcast. This is the podcast where you're going to get a lot of value when it comes to learning more about dog training, dog behavior, and beyond. I'm your host, Erika Gonzalez. I'm a certified professional dog trainer and behavior consultant and the founder of From Dusk Till Dog. Real quick, before we jump into today's podcast, if you would like to support this podcast or our other online content and would like to support it, please check out our Patreon support page at patreon.com/FromDuskTillDog. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is going to cover some tips for prepping your dog for the holidays. The holidays are coming, and some skills, behaviors, cues, some things you should start working on with them before you have people over. So we still have time. And here to join me to talk about this topic is Emily Fitzpatrick. She is a Victoria Stilwell Academy certified dog trainer and the owner of Misunderstood Mutt, located in Dallas, Georgia. Welcome to the podcast, Emily. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to talk about holiday stuff. I love the holiday time. I know it can be stressful for some people. I try to make it not stressful. It's my goal now as I adult in life to try to take a moment. But I know a lot of us out there are a little concerned. We have one dog, several dogs. We have guests that are going to come over, and we really want to make sure our dogs are not causing more stress on the guests or on us. So I'm happy we could talk through some strategies together. And, you know, with the holidays approaching, there's so much to talk about. So feel free as much as you want. But what are some general things you recommend for your clients or for people in general that they should keep in mind when preparing for guests? So just like, what big concepts should we be thinking about before we're going to have people over?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is making sure that your dog's needs are met before your guests even come over. And I like to think about that in terms of like all week before your guests come over, because sometimes people will just like scramble to take their dog on a 3-mile hike right before the guests come over, and then they're tired. But that's not really enough. If you don't have their needs met all week, then they have all this pent up energy and excitement. So really focusing on getting their needs met and having a lot of food available and ready to go for all of these really fun situations.
I love the needs met point, because you're absolutely right. I was laughing because, full disclosure, I've totally done we're going to go get a lot of exercise in last second, an hour before everyone gets here.
Yes.
And we've all been there, and I did not prepare all the way in certain moments, but you know, other times I'm leading up to that dinner party or that event or that holiday where everyone's coming over. I try to be a good girl about it and go bring the dogs out. So I love that you said, you know, the week before, you know, we want something like this to be consistent leading up. So it's not just training out whatever we can before they get at the door.
You like stress run them really fast. You're like, oh God, we have an hour left. People are coming. I need to go. We need to go run or something.
Drain this out as quickly as possible.
Yes.
So I know you mentioned having lots of food and treats nearby. I love to touch on that a little bit deeper. So what does that mean for you? What should I do? Should I just have a treat bag in a cabinet somewhere, or what do you recommend to be the most prepared?
Yeah, I like using treat stations. So getting like all of your leftover spaghetti sauce jars, random mason jars you have, fill as many of them up with kibble, fun, like dehydrated treats, a mixture of different things, and then place them in really easy to access areas. So right by the front door, right by the back door, on the fireplace mantle, right by your dog's crate, in the kitchen, anywhere that you can think of, put these treat stations so you can easily just open it, grab a couple of treats, reward your dog for being awesome. You can also move them out of the room if you need to. You can do a treat scatter on the ground to get that focus down on the ground. Anything that you need, you will have it right there with those treat stations.
Love that. And I agree. I'm always like, have treat stations. And I always use the example because we've all been there. Yes. We've all been there where, you know, I joke with clients sometimes where I'm like, you don't want to have something go down. you don't want shit hitting the fan. And then
Yes.
it's like, honey, run and get the one bag that's up at the top cabinet of the kitchen.
Yes.
Because it's over by then, or the crap's already going down that we can't now fix as easily,
Yes.
or correct as easily rather. So I think that's really important. So don't be shy. Put all your stuff out, folks. Have everything you need ready to go. And that way you're not stressing about where it is, especially when you're entertaining people. Sidebar. I always find it funny when we use the term entertaining. Me and John laugh about that because on HGTV, they're like, we'll entertain. And we're like, what are we, tap dancing? Like, so anyway, but I digress. But when you're entertaining people coming over, you're going to want to have it be as easy as possible so you can enjoy your guests. So having all this out is going to just save you that time, save you that mental energy a little bit.
Definitely.
And I love that. The other thing I would say too is, obviously as trainers, we talk about this a lot, but management is so big. And I know we're going to get into a little more detail about this, but you really want to start considering, okay, in a month or in 2 weeks, people are going to be here. What do I picture my dog doing that day in terms of when we're eating? Where do I think my dog's going to be hanging out? Can they handle being near the table? Is it a situation where we need to work on them going away? Do I need a baby gate? Do I need to purchase something before, hopefully not the day before everyone's coming again? Preparation. This episode is about preparation.
Yes.
So, do I need to consider a crate? Do I need to consider getting the crate out of the basement that we put away a long time ago? Thinking through some of those things and how your house is set up, of what you're going to need to have around or do with your dog, where you're going to shift them. So I think that's also a big one. And on the treat thing, if your dog's really toy motivated, you can also throw a squeaker ball or a toy in those treat station areas as well to help redirect or get them out of the room, or, just have them do something else a little more time consuming with the toy if your dog's into that stuff.
Definitely.
Are your dogs into toys? Because I feel like I can use redirection for Freddie with toys, but Jade looks at me like, what the hell are you doing?
Yes. Remy, my pit bull, she is all about toys. Like, if I get a toy out, whatever else is going on, it doesn't matter anymore. She's like, I am on this toy. Goose is like, no. Yeah. I'd rather not. I'll put my nose up to that and I'll just continue being a nuisance.
Yeah. I feel like that same thing with my two. Freddie's a go for the toys. Jade looks at me like, what is this?
She's like, I couldn't even bother. Can you get me a snack instead?
Yes. She wants the snacks, and I totally get it, because I want the snacks too. I want all the snacks. So, all right, great. So I want to also jump into, a little bit more about setting our dogs up for success. Guests are coming. It could be little children. It could be elderly folks that can't have a dog jumping on them. I mean, I've had that in my family. So what are some things to think about with the guests? Should they be participating? Should they not be participating? I guess it might depend for something. So what's the role with me as the pet parent and the guest coming in? What roles can the guest play or shouldn't play in training the dog or helping these situations with coming inside the house?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like the biggest part would be asking your guests what role they want to play. So do they want to interact with the dog? Do they feel comfortable interacting with the dogs? Or do they have some sort of, phobias of dogs? So making sure their comfort levels, and then kind of look at your dog and see what their comfort levels are. So does your dog like strangers? Does your dog like other people? Would they want to interact with them? And if the answer is yes on both sides, hand them one of those treat stations and say, go to town. Here you go. Here's what my dog knows. You can give them treats for any of this stuff. Anytime they're interacting with you politely, go ahead and just toss a treat away. And then if they don't want to interact with the dog, go ahead and put the dog behind a baby gate out in the backyard. Give them a fun activity while they're doing that, though, so that they're not just sitting there, staring across the baby gate.
What's going on?
Like, I'm ready. Can I go and say hi? Like, give them a fun activity, like a snuffle mat or a frozen Kong, so that they can focus on that and let your guests kind of come in the house in peace and it not be this big, oh my God, here's all the dogs at one time. We're all going to charge at you. Yes.
At the door.
Yes. I feel like that's what always happens. You stress to get their energy out, and then you're stressing about the people coming in, and then you're managing dogs here, you're managing people here. Sometimes it's just easier to put the dog outside or behind a baby gate until everyone's in and settled, and then do the training.
love that you said that, because the whole explosion at the door and the stress of I'm always stressed when people are coming in the house,
Oh,
not
same.
in a negative, like really negative way. I'm happy to see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, but there is this kind of societal, like, oh my God, someone's at the door. We like, get them in as soon as possible. And,
Yes.
and the dogs. And so it becomes,
everything has to be perfect.
Yeah. It becomes kind of this high energy, overstimulated moment for everybody, humans included, most of the time, if you're anything like me. So, and I like to tell people, it's completely, and you just kind of said this, it's completely fine to opt out.
Yes.
You're not losing anything. You're not hurting your dog's training. In fact, you're probably helping them if you're not in a good place to do the training there. So that's, again, management is just, you know what, this isn't ideal for me. I'm not feeling it. My dog's not feeling it. Neither of us are feeling it. The guest isn't feeling it. Whoever's not feeling it, it's fine to go, I'm not going to deal with it right now. Let's put the dog over here and call it a day until we can all regroup and then address it and kind of be ready for it. So I think that's such an important point for people to give themselves a break. Like, give yourself a break. It's okay to not be in full training mode all day. I'm not.
Yes.
And I'm
especially when you're trying to entertain your guests. Like, you want to be there hanging out with your guests. You don't want to be like, hi, okay, now I'm going to go hang out with my dog for an hour and get them situated, but I'm just going to ignore you even though I never see you.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be very hard for them. So, for most dogs anyway, it's difficult when we're having guests we probably only see every so often. Some of them are going to be infrequent guests, or new people, people's partners, or somebody new coming in, or if someone had a baby recently, which I know a lot of my clients, their family members have had children over the last 2 years. And they haven't seen, some of them haven't even seen the kids that much, considering what went on, and now they're coming over. So being prepared and opting out is completely fine. So be prepared to opt out. So have that set up where you can opt out at any time. So I love that. And then, would you recommend, for, let's say, I want to hone in on this too, because I think some people have a relative that, we'll call him Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob comes over, and Uncle Bob wants to deal with the dogs. He's all about it. He wants to do it. But Uncle Bob, although we we love him, he kind of ruins the training. So on the note of opting out, even if Uncle Bob's really enthusiastic about it and really wants to help, if they make your dog nuts, or they don't take instructions very well, we all have family members who really we love them, but they don't listen to us. So if that's the case, definitely opt out with your dog, because that can ruin what you're trying to get done, or just make them uber excited, or just over threshold. And so I wanted to touch on those family members we may see that might make it worse for us. It's okay to opt out, move your dog away from them. Don't leave it to Uncle Bob to do the right thing. Just get your dog, you and your dog exit and move away.
As far away from Uncle Bob. Put them in a room with a closed door so Uncle Bob can't even see them. He doesn't even know that they're there.
Exactly. You know what else? Because I love that you said kind of talk to everyone. Talk and say, hey, what's your comfort level? That's also a good time to let them know what you're working on, or, hey, we're working with the dog here. I need you to do this, or I need you to not do that. And one thing I know we all do as trainers is recommend some type of sign on the door. So I love having a laminated or whatever, print it up on your computer and tape it to the window, whatever you can do, but have some type of, hey, we're training the dog. Please, to grab a treat, come in and toss it, or please ignore the dog completely. Love the management. So, something like that. I've also had clients do it from the dog's perspective, which is really cute. Like, hi, my name's Jade and I'm training. I'm not jumping up on people. So please do this. Thank you so much. So make it cute, but definitely give that sign sometimes can really help people feel like that we're taking it seriously. Do you see that when you use that with clients?
Definitely. And even putting on there like, hey, we're training with the doorbell, so please don't ring the doorbell. Send us a text when you get here and we'll let you in. And I've even had it where people will get like a cute jar and fill it with squeaky tennis balls. They set it out on a table right by the front door, grab a tennis ball and chuck it when you get in. So the dog will go and direct their energy onto that. And then they have the toy that they can bring to you to play again. Instead of jumping up and greeting you that way, they get to greet you with a toy in their mouth. And then it becomes a really fun game. And then guests become a really fun thing.
I love that with the toy too. I had a client that had a box and they had all different types of toys and they had a little sign above it. And I forget exactly what it said, but it said something like, I forget the dog's name now. This was so long ago, but I'll use my dog's name. It was like Freddie's toss and greet toys or something like that. And it was set up, I think she was I think she was a kindergarten teacher. So it was very like kindergarten-y teacher setup. It was so freaking cute. And her guests loved it. They found it to be very interactive.
Yeah.
And I think stuff like that helps your guests also know what to do, because sometimes as a guest and the dog's coming over, you're like, what do I do with this? You know?
So you stand there awkwardly in the corner. They're like, do I touch? Do I pet? Do I get down? Do we jump? What do we do?
Right. I like the instructional stuff that's easy because a kid can toss a toy or an adult can toss a toy. So pretty much anyone's capable of picking some up and just kind of tossing it away. So I think that's a great solution to help with jumping and just in general greetings at the door.
Yeah.
By the way, those listening, that can help with really not any, but a lot of issues perhaps that you might have at that front door area. So give that a try regardless of what you're working on. If your dog loves treats or toys, which is most dogs, and see if that helps you at the door at all. So yeah, I do want to also, we're going to get into some skills because I know, you know, we just talked about prepping, having stuff ready, having your treats, having your toys, leashes handy, baby gates up, crate area or other rooms, stuff like that ready. So in terms of so we have time, what should we be training our dogs on? There's so many things that are important. So many. But I do.
Which one?
Which one are we going to pick? Let's each start off with one and then we'll go from there. So I'm a pet parent. I'm ready to have guests over. I'm a little nervous and there's so many things I want to train my dog on or continue to work on. What would you say is one of the major skills I should focus my time and energy on right now in preparation?
Yeah, I would choose going to mat or a bed because that gives the dog somewhere to go, somewhere to relax, something that they have a great positive association with. And it's really easy for them to just go there and lay down. They know exactly what to do. Their place comes out, they can go there, they can lay down, they get their treats. And it's a nice comfy place for them and it's comfy for all the people. And I just feel like that skill is just so important for every dog to know, even if you have guests over or not. And you could put the mat by your table while you're eating, toss a couple of treats down there so they're not begging. So versatile. You can use it everywhere. You can do a lot of things with it.
Place is probably my favorite behavior. I always say it's the one that I use the most today, currently in my home on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, you know, so if we're doing it a lot, I feel like it's definitely something everyone else should be implementing at home. And I know obviously, you know, this can take time and effort and sessions with your dog to get them there, but could you walk us through just generally, you know, without going into a whole Stephen King novel length, because I know I know when I'm trying to do it, I'm like, oh, these steps. But what are like the first few steps?
1 to 20.
What are some ways, like if someone doesn't know how to do that generally, like how would they capture that behavior or perhaps start to introduce it to their dog a little bit?
Yeah, this is one way we can get our treat stations involved too. So get a couple of really comfy beds that your dog is going to love. The comfier, the better. You put it down, you put a treat station within a couple of feet of it. Anytime you see that dog go and lay on that bed, you go ahead and you start offering them those treats.
Yes.
You can even take the bed and show them, hey, look, I'm putting this comfy bed on the ground right here. As soon as they start to investigate it, you just start giving them treats for going over there. If they lay down, that's when I say, go ahead and give a big jackpot reward. You give them like 5 to 10 treats, one after another. So you can show them when you lay down on here, really awesome things happen. This is what I really like. And the more often you do that, the more often they're going to offer this behavior. Every time you catch them laying on that bed, just go ahead and toss them a treat. And then you'll see them do it so much more often, and you'll see them relaxed so nicely.
Great. That's a great way to do it because it's so organic. Because your
Yeah.
dog's probably going to go lay down in a nice comfy spot that you put out for them. And I know
Yeah.
with my dogs, if I do, I was laughing because you're like, you could take the bed out and like show them you're putting, I can hardly get the damn thing down and they're like climbing on it. Yeah. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So it does work. I always say, you know, whatever gets rewarded gets repeated. And that goes for all animals, us included, of if I get rewarded heavily enough for doing something, I'm going to want to do it, especially if it's a comfy bed I'm laying in. So
heck yeah.
Totally. I love the treat station being near it because again, that sets the human up for success, that they're not rushing to go grab the one bag that's hidden in the kitchen.
Treat bag.
Yeah, don't do that. So I love that. And also because I have had dogs that I'm sure you have too, that I'll put the bed down and start working with them, or the client starts working with them. And the dog, I call it the hot lava, and the dog will do like anything besides step on the bed. They're like walking around it and looking at it from a distance.
They're like laying next to it, putting a toenail on it.
Yeah, it's like I put down a booby trap or something, and I'm like, no, it's safe and comfortable. So if you have a dog at home that has that issue, you can do the same type of setup that Emily just said, but I like using that food to, I mean, as long as the dog's not scared of it, that's a whole nother discussion. But if they're just apprehensive or not 100% sure what the hell's going on, I'll use the food to help guide them onto that area. And then I'll release the food as soon as they get on it. And then we work up to sitting, lying down, relaxing on it. But again, really keeping it simple. Encourage your dog on, reward them heavily when they do get on it, and extra heavily if they lie down on it, like you were saying. A jackpot reward is, just to reiterate that again, is just giving them a few treats back to back. And I think giving one at a time like that is more important than just shoving a handful with 5 or 6 treats in it, because it still just kind of seems like one reward there. So giving one at a time, like you specified, does register different for your dog. So I love that. So pretty simple. And not to plug my own thing, but I do have a YouTube video, more than one, giving steps, an actual how-to tutorial on place. So if you're really curious about it, go and check that out. And Emily, I don't know if you do, but definitely check out. Emily will plug her stuff too at the end here, so you can go and check out her stuff. But place is a big one. There's plenty of information online on how to train it using positive reinforcement, of course, and getting your dog to do that. So number one skill, love that. I would say, because that was my favorite one. So I'm going to go to another.
Everyone's favorite.
I know. I'm like, we're both going to want to say place. So I would say another big one that I think, unfortunately, people just don't think about it, because it's just not something you're going to really think about until it happens, is alone time, or isolation training, or spending time alone. So some dogs are not used to being put in another room while everybody's laughing and hamming it up downstairs, or being behind a gate, or going into the crate that you had to dust off that was in the basement. So if you are planning at some juncture, which is most dogs, even my dogs, needing a break from everything and or needing to be put away, either if it's like completely away or they can still see you, but they're behind a gate, practicing that alone time training ahead of time. So maybe just when you and your immediate family are sitting down to eat dinner, starting to practice putting your dog behind the gate, putting your dog upstairs with a Kong or something to do, and seeing how they do. Because you don't want to find out that your dog's howling and screaming and losing their mind on, the holiday that you're trying to enjoy your family and friends. So practice, do mock scenarios a little bit of what your holiday event will kind of be, and make sure your dog's cool with it. Because if they're not, you need another plan, or you need to train with that and hopefully get it under control before everybody gets there.
Yes, it's the worst when you're sitting at the table trying to eat and there's a dog just barking their head off upstairs because they're distressed. And you're like, you can't come out because it's going to be chaos, but you can't stay in there because it's chaos too. So what do we do?
And now we're stressed because now we're only thinking about our dogs freaking out. And it's a whole to do. So I definitely think place and alone time or separation time is really going to be the two big ones. And we've talked a lot about enrichment toys, you know, Kong's snuffle mats, which a snuffle mat is just basically a felt mat that mimics grass, if you will. And there's a ton of other mental toys. So for those listening, Google mental enrichment toys for dogs or dog mental stimulation toys, anything like food dispensing toys, all that will come up with a ton of results for you. But I definitely think if your dog has not played with something like that before, to also get them enjoying that stuff before the day, because some dogs will be like, what the hell is this? I don't eat out of this. I'm not going to touch this. So see what your dog's like. Yes. Yeah. So get something your dog likes and test it. Make sure they're really having a good time with it so that it's valuable when you need it during that time.
Yes.
So but besides those two, is there anything else? I mean, I feel like we're good with those. I don't want to add more to the fire, but is there for you, is there something else besides place and kind of alone time that you would recommend that we want to put out there?
Or do I don't think so. I think those are kind of the easiest ones to focus on. And in that situation, those are probably the two things you're going to use the most. I can't really see anyone using any really technical behaviors while their guests are over and they're trying to entertain them.
I agree completely. And it reminds me, I want to say a reminder for those, because I'm sure you get this as well. I have a lot of people that want to train their dogs on leave it training before the holidays come around, because there's decorations, there's food around, all that stuff, right? And usually this question comes up a week before or a couple days, where we know, well, it's not enough time to get it there, but I appreciate the effort of wanting to do it.
Yes.
So if you're thinking that right now at home, it's okay that your dog doesn't know leave it at a superb level or at all for this, because I think what we're getting at is keeping it simple, keeping it realistic. I think we could teach a dog how to go to place, generally speaking, a lot easier than trying to teach a dog to leave a roast alone on the table if they're prone to jumping up and wanting to eat stuff. So we don't want to give you 5 million hours of homework before you're also prepping everybody to come over. And it's just, to me, I think you're agreeing with that, is that it's not something I would spend the time and energy when we can spend the time and energy on more attainable management, place, alone time, things that you can keep it more under control and not have to worry about it, that are easy for you and easier for your dog to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're not failing if you do that. You're not failing if you use management. For me, whenever we have guests over, I use management a majority of the time that they're here, because I'm with my dogs all day. I do training with them all day. That time with my guests, I do not want to even think about my dogs sometimes. I want them to go and enjoy a frozen Kong, either in another room or behind a baby gate, or go hang out snuffling in the grass in the backyard, so that I can be a human being and interact with other human beings.
Oh, I love you, because I feel the same way. It makes me feel less guilty, because I'm like, I just want to be away from my dogs for a moment. Like, mama needs a break for a minute. It's almost like, it's just like, I need a break too. And I'm glad that you said that. And again, back to not shaming yourself for opting out of being in full training mode and just enjoying the fact that your friends or family is over. That's totally okay too. So love that. And on that note, because I know, even as human beings, to kind of bridge that gap between how dogs feel and humans feel, which I know is a touchy subject, but I do like giving human examples for dog stuff, because I think it helps humans empathize with what our dogs go through. So people are coming over. If you have families like mine, sometimes, or friends, like, they'll stay for a really long time. We haven't seen each other. We want to party, we want to hang out, we want to eat a lot and just enjoy each other. So no one's coming in for an hour and then rushing out. So I've definitely had this where after a few hours, I need a moment. So I go to the bathroom and like have a second, or I go upstairs and I close the door and I, okay, I'm done peopling. I need to reset.
Yes. Yes.
So we've all, had a situation or know somebody that needs that. And I think, after hours and hours of entertaining and, cooking and making drinks and cleaning up and managing our dogs, that we might need a break, right? So we've all been there. Our dogs might need that too. So I think for longer visits like this for the holiday season, that dogs should have some alone time and be proactively, not just because something bad might happen or not just because we're going to eat, but maybe our dogs have had enough. And we know our dogs. So if your dog looks like they're kind of over it and they're exhausted and it's midnight and everyone's been there for hours and hours and they're just giving you a look like, normally we're in bed by now. Why is everyone still here?
Why?
So with all the commotion and festivities, what do you recommend in setting up a relaxation station or area for our dogs? What should we have there? What should we consider doing? How should that setup look?
Yeah, I would kind of look into what your normal routine is first. So 9 o'clock for us, we're in bed. So if we're not up in bed by 9, one of my dogs, he will go and stand at the edge of the stairs and he like crouches down and looks at us and he's like, why aren't we going? Like, we're going upstairs. So I would think about their normal routine. If your dog does that about 9 o'clock every night, guide them up to their normal spot. So if they go and sleep in your bed, walk up there, go take your 5 minutes of decompression time, get your dog tucked into bed, give them a couple of treats for laying down. If they haven't had a frozen Kong yet, that'd probably be the perfect time to give that to them so that they can just go be alone and enjoy something nice and peaceful. They don't have a space like that they usually go to. Maybe it's the living room where they like to relax and that's where you guys are hanging out. A couple weeks before, find a nice comfy spot that you can, turn the lights down, put on some nice calming music for them, make it a little spa setting and let them just go in there and relax. And every night for a couple hours, just hang out in there with your dog, do a little massage session and make that a nice, really comfortable and relaxing place for them. So they know they can go and retreat there and make it comfy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And I love the music thing. I'm so big on music for my dogs.
Same.
And on that note, as an extra little tip for that on the music front, I would say my dogs are never alone without music on. So whether I leave the house or whether I bring them upstairs into the bedroom and close the door because I'm vacuuming downstairs or the plumber is coming or whatever's going on, there is always nice, calm music playing.
Yes.
Don't put on HGTV. Not that this is going to kill your dog if you have HGTV on. No offense to HGTV. I like watching it, but we don't need power saws and hammering to relax our dogs up there. So, because I used to do that.
Going on.
Yeah, we don't need that. So I used to do that before I knew any better. I would just leave like the news or HGTV on and it was like, tonight everybody's ill. And you're like, oh my God, it's not relaxing. So we want that music. And I love listening. I put on my home device. I will not say her name. It's like Voldemort. It's thou who should not be named. But I don't want to set everyone's off. But the home device, I have them play. The one has sounds for pets. So I'll actually say, hey, you play music for pets. And it's like classical music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So classical's great, easy listening on the TV. So sometimes I'll put the TV on the music. Reggae, they've figured out is relaxing for dogs, which is really cool. So whatever you think might relax them, have that on. I love the music thing. So thanks for bringing that up, Emily.
Of course.
And I think too, like something else that I have around is, having maybe that mat or that place in there, especially if you're already working with your dog on it, have another one in there that they like so that they can relax in. And sometimes this doesn't work for every dog, but sometimes I'll spray a calming spray in the room, 10, 15 minutes beforehand. I might even give my dogs a CBD cookie, just because I like to supplement them with that anyway for other reasons, but I might give it to them at that moment if they're going up to relax anyway. Again, this isn't for every dog, everybody's personal choice, just being honest about sometimes what I do for my dogs. And I'll sometimes even like diffuse pet safe. Like I get kid and pet safe, like lavender or something that's we know is safe for dogs in the area. And I'll just have it on a timer for an hour or something. So you can do those little things, like you said, a spa day, have a little spa area that they feel relaxed and happy in. And then you can go enjoy your guests and they're safe and happy up there.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they're just going to fall asleep while they're in there.
Exactly.
They're ready.
Yeah, they're
I'm tired of the people being here.
Yeah, your dogs get tired of all the activity too, so I think that's important. So I definitely have a setup, have a little relaxation station for your dog and have a space that you feel happy to leave them in and not don't shun them to the basement that they never spend time in, or that one cold guest room that no one stepped foot in for 3 years. Try, and if it is going to be that, like you said, work on it ahead of time, so it's not like, here's this room you've never been in that you never spend time in.
Go hang out,
and I'm going to close the door, so enjoy yourself in here. Make it
close the door and you better relax.
Yes, fall asleep. So yeah, I think that's a great point. And I always like to kind of leave a bonus tip at the end here of what's one bonus tip surrounding the holidays or prepping for guests, or a random thought or wild card or something people should make note of or avoid, or anything, open-ended wild card tip revolving around some of our discussion today. What would yours be, Emily?
I think mine would have to be prep all of your enrichment beforehand, because especially the day of, you're probably going to be cooking for your guests. You don't want to also be cooking for your dog. So I say 2 or 3 days before your guests come over, prep as many frozen enrichment items as you can. If you can go ahead and fill up some puzzle toys then, that's perfect too. Put them in like a box or a cabinet off to the side, so that anytime your dog needs something, you can just easily grab one thing out of the cabinet and it's ready to go, and you can just hand it to them, and then you can carry back on with your guests, and you're not scrambling to prepare dog food and people food all at the same time.
I agree completely, because I do meal prep for my dogs too, where
Same.
like, a certain day of the week, I'm prepping all of the ones I'm going to freeze anyway. So you can freeze some of these if your dog likes that. It'll last a little longer as well. My dogs love it. So your Licky Mats, which is like a silicone mat, you can spread peanut butter or yogurt or dog food on or whatever you would like to. And I'll freeze all of them. And I love when I have a friend over, or I have or the plumber's coming, back to that example, and I have to put my dogs away or bring them somewhere, and I have it ready to go. The last thing I want is to be filling a toy right then. I will probably curse and want to cry in my kitchen if it is last minute like that. And I'm very type A, so that's just very like me. But yeah, having it ahead of time is going to take some effort beforehand, but then the day of, you're going to be very grateful that you have done it already. So I love that. It'll save people time and energy and angst 100%. To have it ready. So yeah, I think my extra bonus tip today would be, it's okay to say no to your guests about bringing their dogs over.
Yes.
And here's why. Because I love dogs, obviously, and I love spending time with dogs, obviously. But when I have guests over, I don't allow other dogs over for that reason, for holiday. Like if we have a get together for the dogs and we're going to have a play date, lovely, happy to do that. But for holiday time, and I'm hosting and I'm having people over, I am, for lack of a better word, I'm stressed out. I'm trying to clean. I'm trying to cook. I'm trying to get everything ready. Everything's got to look nice. Like I like making my house all ready for my guests. And I don't want to deal with worrying about someone else's dog. Maybe this is the dog trainer in me that I'll be just like in dog trainer mode of like, oh my God, what does the dog do? So, but I think people do add another layer of stress, not only on themselves but also on their dogs, because are the dogs actually best friends, or do we just wish everybody was best friends because we're best friends with the pet parents? We want the dogs to come in. Is it that, are those dogs going to have an issue with toys on the floor, with bones on the floor, with potty training? Like, does that dog mark? Are they going to mark my curtains or not? How do I know they need to go to the bathroom? Who's drinking? Are they going to be paying attention to the dog? I don't know. Like, people have different habits around the holiday time, where now I'm going to be worried about all of that internally, thus making it not as happy of a time for me. And Freddie would hate it. Like, Freddie doesn't want a strange dog walking up in his house, just like I wouldn't want one of my guests to bring 3 strangers I've never met that I didn't know was coming, because your dog doesn't know that. So if they haven't met before, if they're best friends and everybody loves it and you feel totally relaxed and there's no problem, whatever, do your thing. But if you're a little unsure, I would say it's okay to say no, and we can get together for a play date another time.
Absolutely. And like you said, it puts you in dog trainer mode. Like, I feel like anytime I'm around people and their dogs, they kind of are just like, oh, Emily's here. She's a dog trainer. She'll handle it. She's got this. And I'm like, oh no, let a girl live.
I'm on a break right now. Yes. I am not on the clock. Yeah.
We are not dog training.
We're not in session right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I have had to say no to some friends that wanted to bring the dogs over. And I always feel a little bad, but I'm like, hey, I want to spend time with you. And I know I'll be very distracted. I've had friends, when I go to visit them, they're like, oh, bring Jade and Freddie. And I'm like, no. Thank you for the offer, but no, I want to enjoy myself with you guys and not be worrying about my dogs the whole time.
Yeah.
So again, okay to opt out. That seems to be a theme for this episode. Is it's okay to opt out.
Say no.
It's okay to say no. So say no sometimes. Don't people please all the time with this. As a recovering people pleaser myself, I'm learning to say no, and it's okay. That's all right.
No is a complete sentence.
Absolutely, that's right. So for everyone's holiday season to go a little bit better, know when to say no, know when to manage, know when to train. And now with the stuff we talked about, we have some things that you can start working on at home with your dogs before your guests arrive, and how to prep. So I'm glad we got to talk through all of that. And Emily, I want all those listening to be able to connect with you. So where can they connect with you, and what things do you have going on right now with your business?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is @misunderstoodmutt, or you can go to my website, misunderstoodmutt.com. I recently released some e-planners in regards to dog training. So one is a daily dog training planner, where you get to track all of your progress with all of your training sessions, your behaviors, all those fun things. I have an enrichment planner, so you can plan out all your enrichment for the week. So you can even plan out your enrichment for your holiday times, make your own grocery list, and then a reactivity training tracker, so you can track all of your dog's reactivity training progress. So you can just see all of these fun results months and months down the road. When you feel like you're not making progress, you can see how much progress you are making.
I love that.
And I'll be opening my books in a couple weeks to new clients. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. That's really cool. I'm glad that you have some of those like logs, because logging your progress or logging things that happen, information data collection is big with knowing, well, really with a lot of things you're trying to improve on in general, but with dog training, that's so important. So I love that you have that, that you're offering that, and great. That's awesome. So, all right, cool. Well, Emily, I could talk to you for a lot longer. We talked offline a little bit too before we got on. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on and for talking through some of this holiday stuff. Hopefully this will help bring value to those. And also a nice reminder for all of us to start prepping now before it's too late. Thank you so much for coming on, Emily.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And as always, for those listening, treat yourselves and treat your dogs.